There is a truth so powerful that the wealthiest, most powerful 1% would prefer you never discover it. They don't hide it in locked vaults. They hide it in plain sight, knowing most people will walk past it every single day. This truth is not a secret formula, nor is it a hidden treasure. It is a way of thinking, a way of acting, a way of becoming, and when you understand it, you cannot go back to living as you did before. Wealth, success, and happiness do not arrive by chance. They are first born in the quiet spaces of the mind, long before they ever take physical form. Every achievement that looks sudden to the outside world began as a clear mental picture in someone's imagination. The people who consistently reach extraordinary levels of success understand this truth and use it deliberately. They do not wait for inspiration to strike. They create it by directing their thoughts toward the outcomes they want. They treat the mind as fertile soil, planting only the ideas they want to see grow, knowing that whatever is nurtured in thought will eventually appear in life. Most people, however, move through life with their mental energy scattered. Their thoughts are reactive, bouncing from one distraction to another, shaped by whatever happens around them. They allow fear, doubt, and negativity from the outside world to take root in their minds without questioning whether those seeds should be there. This is why so many end up living lives they never intended to build. They have surrendered control of the one thing that shapes everything else, their thinking. The 1% refuse to let their minds be driven by chance. They guide them like a captain steering a ship through rough waters. Directing your thoughts with purpose is not an occasional effort. It is a discipline. It means being aware of what you focus on throughout the day and refusing to feed the patterns that weaken you. Just as a sculptor removes stone to reveal the figure within, shaping your mind involves removing limiting beliefs, fears, and distractions until all that remains is the vision you have chosen. This vision becomes the blueprint for your actions, and over time, your actions bring that vision into the physical world. When you operate this way, you begin to notice that opportunities seem to appear more often. It is not that they weren't there before, it is that your mind is now trained to see them. By holding a clear image of what you want, you naturally filter out what doesn't serve you and gravitate toward what does. This is the unseen advantage the 1% have over the masses. They are not simply lucky, they are intentional, and that intention draws the right people, places, and possibilities into their lives. There is a quiet but undeniable power in knowing that you are the source of your reality. Once you accept that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, you stop blaming circumstances and start adjusting your thinking. This shift changes the way you carry yourself, the decisions you make, and the way others respond to you. It is the beginning of true freedom because it removes the illusion that your future is determined by anything other than your own mind. The lesson the 1% would rather you ignore is that you already possess the same creative power they do. The difference is not in resources, connections, or even talent. It is in the choice to take control of the mind instead of letting it drift. The moment you decide to guard your thoughts, to focus them on a definite aim, and to act in harmony with that aim, you begin to shape your life with precision. And from that point forward, what others call coincidence will simply be the visible proof of the reality you have been building in your mind all along. Desire is not some passing wish that drifts through your mind and disappears the moment life becomes inconvenient. It is not something you feel only when conditions are perfect or when the mood strikes. True desire is a fire that refuses to go out, no matter how much cold water the world tries to throw on it. It grows stronger in the face of challenge, feeding on resistance and opposition. It is an unshakable decision within you that says, I will have this, no matter what stands in my way. That kind of desire has a different energy. It does not ask for permission. It claims what it wants through relentless action. When your desire is strong enough, you will find that quitting stops being an option. The idea of stopping feels unnatural, even impossible. People around you may not understand why you keep pushing when it would be easier to walk away, but they cannot see the fire burning inside you. You begin to realize that most people fail not because they lack ability, but because their desire is weak. The moment it gets difficult, they retreat. But when your desire burns deeply enough, difficulty becomes fuel, every setback becomes a reason to push harder, every rejection becomes proof you are on the right path. The world will test you to see if you really mean it. It will place obstacles in your path, delay your progress, and present you with easier alternatives that tempt you to settle for less. These tests are not punishments, they are opportunities to prove to yourself how badly you want it. Most people fail because they see these moments as signs to stop, but those with true desire see them as training. The more you overcome, the more unstoppable you become, because you are not just chasing a goal anymore, you are becoming the kind of person who can hold onto it once it arrives. Desire sharpens your focus. It pushes you to cut out distractions, ignore irrelevant noise, and pour your time, energy, and resources into the mission at hand. You stop trying to please everyone because you understand that pleasing everyone is the fastest way to please no one, including yourself. Instead, you become laser, focused on your objective, willing to sacrifice comfort, convenience, and even temporary approval to reach it. The 1% live in this zone daily, and it's why they achieve results most people think are impossible. When you operate from deep desire, you start seeing opportunities where others see dead ends. You become resourceful, creative, and fearless in your approach. You learn to adapt quickly, to change your strategy without losing sight of the goal. People around you may call it luck, but luck favors those who refuse to stop moving forward. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you imagined, and the stronger your desire, the faster those steps turn into leaps. In the end, desire is not just the beginning of achievement. It is the force that carries you through every storm, every obstacle, and every delay. Without it, even the best plans collapse under pressure. With it, even the most impossible goals can be reached. It transforms you into someone who not only dreams but acts, someone who refuses to be denied. And once you've lived with that level of hunger, you will never again settle for a life that does not set your soul on fire. Knowing exactly where you are going is one of the most powerful forces you can possess. Without that clarity, life will push and pull you in every direction, and you will find yourself working hard for goals that do not even belong to you. The truth is, if you don't define your own mission, someone else will gladly hand you theirs. It might come from your employer, your family, society, or even friends who think they know what's best for you. And while they may mean well, living under someone else's plan means you will always feel an invisible emptiness because you are chasing a finish line you never chose. Clarity of purpose gives your life structure and direction. It's like sailing with a compass instead of drifting wherever the current takes you. When you have a definite aim, decisions become easier because you can measure every opportunity against your ultimate destination. You stop wasting energy on things that do not move you forward. You no longer get caught up in temporary distractions because you know exactly what you are building and why it matters. This single habit of aligning actions with purpose is one of the reasons the 1% advance so quickly compared to the masses. A clear mission also gives you strength during difficult times. When challenges come, and they always do, people without a defined purpose often lose their way, change course too soon, or abandon the journey entirely. But those who have anchored themselves to a strong why can endure storms that would sink others. They see hardship as part of the path, not as a sign they should stop. That sense of direction becomes a shield against fear, confusion, and outside influence. Another advantage of a definite purpose is that it attracts the right people and opportunities into your life. When you live with focus, you naturally communicate your goals through your actions, your words, and even your energy. People who share your vision or can help you achieve it will be drawn to you, and those who do not align will quietly fall away. The 1% use this principle intentionally, surrounding themselves only with allies who help them move closer to their objectives. Living without a clear mission often means living reactively, responding to whatever life throws at you instead of shaping life on your own terms. This reactive way of living is exhausting because you are constantly switching directions, chasing urgent but unimportant matters, and wondering why you feel stuck. On the other hand, a well-defined purpose turns your life into a deliberate creation, where every day is another step towards something you have chosen for yourself. Ultimately, having a clear, unwavering mission means taking full ownership of your life. It means refusing to hand over the steering wheel to anyone else. It means looking at the future you desire and deciding that no one else's opinion will outweigh your vision. The 1% operate with this level of certainty every single day, and that is why they seem to be guided by some invisible force towards success. In reality, it is not luck, it is the power of living with intention, clarity, and absolute commitment to their own path. Faith is the ability to see with the mind what the eyes cannot yet witness. It is holding on to an image of your goal so firmly that no amount of delay or resistance can shake it from your thoughts. This is not blind hope, nor is it wishful thinking. It is an unshakable inner knowing that what you seek is already on its way, even if the evidence around you suggests otherwise. Those who rise to the top of any field develop this as a discipline, not an accident. They decide to believe, and that decision becomes the foundation on which they build everything else. When you operate with this level of faith, doubts may still whisper in your mind, but they never get the final word. You may feel fear, but it does not paralyze you. Instead, you keep moving forward, acting as if the outcome you want is inevitable. People who lack faith spend most of their energy hesitating, questioning themselves, and looking for constant reassurance. The ones who succeed use that energy for progress. They understand that confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you choose to stand on before there is proof. Faith has a strange power to influence events. When you believe deeply in an outcome, you begin to make decisions and take actions that align with that belief. You speak differently, move differently, and attract people and resources that help you. Others may think you are lucky, but it is your belief that shapes the opportunities you encounter. This is why the 1% guard their faith so fiercely they know it acts like a magnet for the life they are creating. Maintaining faith is often hardest when nothing seems to be working. These are the moments that cause most people to give up, deciding that the lack of visible progress means their efforts are wasted. But the ones who keep going understand that the invisible work is often the most important. Seeds planted in the ground do not show results immediately, yet they are growing all the same. Faith allows you to endure that unseen growth period without abandoning the process. The world will try to test your faith, sometimes through rejection, sometimes through long seasons of waiting, and sometimes by surrounding you with people who cannot see what you see. This is why your vision must be stronger than their doubts. You cannot depend on others to believe for you. Their inability to imagine your success says nothing about your potential and everything about their own limitations. In the end, faith is the force that keeps you steady when the path is unclear. It is the anchor that holds you in place when the storm threatens to tear you apart. And when the breakthrough finally comes, it will be clear that your belief was not misplaced, it was the very thing that brought the vision into reality. The 1% live by this, building empires on nothing more than an idea and the unshakable conviction that it will one day exist. Talent without persistence is like a seed never planted. It holds potential, but it will never bear fruit. Intelligence without persistence is the same. It may impress for a moment, but it will never create lasting results. The world is full of gifted, brilliant people who never see their dreams materialize simply because they stop too soon. Persistence is the quiet force that turns intention into reality, the discipline to keep moving even when progress is slow or invisible. It is what transforms potential into achievement. Every great success story is built on a foundation of persistence. Behind every breakthrough is a long trail of failed attempts, wrong turns, and disappointments that would have crushed someone less determined. People who achieve extraordinary things do not get there because the path was easy, they get there because they refused to stop walking it. Each setback becomes a teacher, each obstacle a test, and each failure a stepping stone toward mastery. Persistence also builds resilience. Every time you push through when it would be easier to quit, you strengthen your ability to face the next challenge. You stop seeing obstacles as threats and start viewing them as part of the journey. This mental toughness separates those who reach their goals from those who spend their lives wondering what could have been. While others are discouraged by slow results, the persistent person keeps showing up, knowing that consistency compounds over time. There will be moments when persistence feels exhausting, when progress is so small it's barely noticeable, and when the temptation to give in whispers louder than your ambition. This is when most people let go. But the ones who keep going understand that these moments are often the turning points, the tests that determine who is ready for the reward. It is in the quiet, unseen hours of steady work that real success is built. Persistence also attracts allies and opportunities. When people see that you are unwavering, they take you more seriously. Resources begin to appear, connections are made, and doors open that would have remained closed if you had stopped too soon. The very act of staying in the game long enough increases your chances of winning it. The 1% know this, which is why they guard their determination as closely as they guard their vision. In the end, persistence is the great equalizer. You may not be the most talented, the most intelligent, or the most experienced, but if you refuse to quit, you can outlast and eventually outperform those who seem to have every advantage. Persistence turns effort into momentum, and momentum into victory. Once you learn to stay the course, you stop relying on luck or timing. You create your own breakthroughs through sheer refusal to give up. The mind absorbs whatever it is fed, whether it's truth or lies, hope or fear, strength or weakness. Most people do not realize they are constantly programming themselves through the thoughts they entertain and the words they repeat to themselves. If fear dominates your inner conversation, you will begin to see the world as a dangerous, limiting place, and every decision will be shaped by caution. On the other hand, if you fill your mind with thoughts of abundance, opportunity, and growth, your actions will naturally move toward creating those realities. The 1% understand this, which is why they guard their mental input as carefully as a farmer guards his most fertile soil. This mental conditioning works quietly, often without you realizing it. Over time, the subconscious begins to accept repeated thoughts as truth, whether those thoughts are empowering or destructive. It then works in the background to align your behavior, habits, and decisions with what it believes to be real. This is why people who constantly think about problems seem to encounter more of them, while those who focus on solutions often find them. The subconscious is not judging what you feed it, it simply takes orders and executes them. Those at the top of the ladder are intentional about planting the right seeds. They read books, surround themselves with people who challenge and inspire them, and rehearse mental images of the life they want until those images feel inevitable. They do not allow negative conversations, gossip, or self-pity to take root in their minds because they know that once such weeds grow, they can choke out the seeds of success. This discipline over mental diet is one of the least visible but most powerful advantages they hold. For most people, the battle is lost before it begins simply because they underestimate how much their inner world shapes their outer reality. They believe success is purely about action, ignoring the fact that actions are driven by belief and belief is shaped by thought. You cannot consistently act against the dominant story you tell yourself. If you believe deep down that you are limited, unworthy, or unlucky, your subconscious will find ways to prove you right. Changing this inner narrative is not optional if you want to change your life. Ultimately, the subconscious mind is a servant, and you are the master, but only if you claim that role. If you fail to give it deliberate instructions, it will accept whatever random influences come its way, which often means living by someone else's script. The 1% never leave this to chance. They choose their thoughts with precision, knowing that each one is a seed that will grow into habits, circumstances, and results. When you begin to plant the seeds of abundance, courage, and purpose and tend to them daily, your subconscious will align with that vision and work tirelessly to bring it into reality. No one builds something great entirely alone. While personal determination is essential, the people you surround yourself with can either multiply your progress or quietly drain it away. The most successful individuals are intentional about the company they keep, seeking out those who inspire them, challenge them, and push them to think beyond their current limits. They know that energy is contagious. Spend enough time with the right people, and you will find yourself adopting their habits, attitudes, and standards. Likewise, spend enough time with the wrong people, and they will pull you down to their level without you even noticing. Collaboration is one of the most overlooked accelerators of success. When minds come together with a shared purpose, ideas grow faster, solutions appear more easily, and momentum builds in ways that working alone rarely achieves. The exchange of experiences, strategies, and perspectives creates breakthroughs that would be difficult to reach in isolation. The wealthiest and most influential people actively form alliances with others who bring something valuable to the table, understanding that each person's strengths can cover another's weaknesses. Isolation, on the other hand, can quietly limit your potential. Without outside input, your thinking becomes repetitive, your ideas stagnate, and you risk believing that your current way is the only way. This does not mean you should accept just anyone into your circle. In fact, the wrong company can be more damaging than none at all. Negative, fearful, or complacent people will chip away at your ambition, often under the disguise of being realistic or practical. The 1% guard against this by being deliberate gatekeepers of their inner circle. The right people will not only encourage you but also hold you accountable. They will tell you when you are slipping, remind you of your goals, and push you back on track when you lose focus. These relationships are built on mutual growth, where everyone is committed to helping each other win. Success in such an environment becomes a shared journey, and every milestone reached feels like a collective victory. In the end, your environment will shape you as much as your habits will. If you want to grow, place yourself in rooms where growth is the standard, not the exception. Seek out mentors, peers, and collaborators who have already walked the path you aim to travel and learn from them. The 1% do not just network for appearances, they build powerful alliances that become engines for progress. When you surround yourself with people who lift you higher, you will find your own limits begin to dissolve, and your vision will expand beyond what you thought possible. Indecision is one of the most silent yet destructive forces in a person's life. It doesn't just delay progress, it drains energy, erodes confidence, and keeps you stuck in the same place for years. While failure at least moves you forward through lessons learned, indecision leaves you in a state of hesitation where nothing happens. Every opportunity has a window, and when you hesitate too long, that window closes, often for good. The 1% understand this truth deeply, which is why they are quick to make choices and willing to live with the consequences. The ability to decide quickly is not about recklessness, it's about trusting your judgment and understanding that most decisions can be adjusted later. They know that progress is built through momentum, and momentum comes from action. Every choice, even an imperfect one, creates movement and feedback. With each step, they gather new information, refine their approach, and adjust their course if needed. This is far more productive than standing still, waiting for a perfect plan that never arrives. Indecision is often rooted in fear of being wrong, fear of wasting effort, fear of what others might think. But the irony is that by avoiding decisions, you almost guarantee the very outcomes you fear. You lose time, you lose opportunities, and you lose confidence in your ability to act. Those who succeed at the highest levels understand that mistakes are not fatal, they are simply part of the journey. They would rather make 10 quick decisions and correct 7 of them than make none at all. The habit of decisive action also builds trust, both in yourself and from others. People follow those who are certain, even if that certainty is simply the confidence to move forward without all the answers. In business, leadership, and personal growth, the ability to choose a path and commit to it inspires confidence in those around you. The 1% use this to their advantage, knowing that decisive people naturally stand out in a world full of hesitation. Ultimately, success favors the bold, not the hesitant. Waiting for perfect conditions is a slow form of self-sabotage because conditions are never perfect. The most powerful thing you can do is decide, act, and then adapt as reality unfolds. Every great achievement has been the result of someone making a choice and moving forward despite uncertainty. Those who understand this truth refuse to let indecision steal their future, because they know that momentum, once built, is one of the most unstoppable forces in the world. Fear is one of the most effective tools for control, and it works because it operates quietly in the background, influencing decisions without you even realizing it. Fear of criticism, fear of failure, and fear of what others might think have stopped more dreams than actual obstacles ever could. These fears plant themselves in the mind early, often from childhood, and by the time you are an adult, they feel like common sense rather than invisible chains. Most people live their entire lives avoiding situations where they might be judged, rejected, or embarrassed, and in doing so, they avoid the very situations that could lead to their greatest growth. Fear of criticism is especially paralyzing because it ties yourself worth to the opinions of others. You begin to measure every move by how it will be perceived rather than whether it is right for you. This fear convinces you to shrink your goals, to speak less boldly, to play small so you can stay unnoticed. But the reality is that no matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion, and many of those opinions are based on their own limitations, not your potential. The 1% understand this and make peace with the fact that criticism is a sign they are doing something worth noticing. Fear of failure is another powerful trap because it distorts the meaning of failure itself. Instead of seeing it as a natural and necessary step toward success, you begin to treat it as something permanent and defining. This fear stops people before they even start, convincing them that staying safe is better than taking a risk. But the truth is, playing it safe carries its own kind of failure, the slow, quiet regret of knowing you never tried. Those who break free from this fear understand that failure is feedback, nothing more. It's an instruction manual for what to do differently next time. Fear of what others think often blends with both of these, creating a constant sense of self-consciousness that makes you second guess your every move. You become more concerned with looking good than with actually becoming good. This mindset will keep you trapped in mediocrity because excellence requires taking risks, standing out, and sometimes even standing alone. The people at the top accept that they will be misunderstood, judged, and sometimes ridiculed, but they also know that those same traits make them unforgettable and impossible to ignore. The truth is that fear itself is not the enemy, it is your relationship to fear that determines your outcome. The most successful people feel fear just like everyone else, but they have trained themselves to move forward anyway. They treat fear as a signal that they are stepping into new territory, not as a warning to retreat. In fact, they often take fear as confirmation that they are heading towards something important. Breaking free from these chains requires a conscious decision to live for your own approval rather than the approval of the crowd. It means accepting that criticism, failure, and judgment are not signs of weakness but evidence that you are playing the game at a higher level. The moment you stop allowing fear to dictate your actions is the moment you step into a freedom that most people will never experience. And it is this freedom, not luck, not privilege, not even talent, that separates the 1% from everyone else. Your life is not determined by your boss, your government, or even your current circumstances. These things may influence you, but they do not decide your ultimate direction. The true power rests in your own hands, in the choices you make and the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. Many people give away this power without realizing it, blaming external forces for where they are instead of taking full responsibility for where they are going. The ones who rise to the top understand that while they cannot control everything, they can control how they think, act, and respond, and that control is enough to build the life they envision. Every thought you dwell on shapes the person you become. If your thoughts are rooted in limitation, you will find yourself living within those limits. If they are rooted in possibility, you will begin to notice opportunities that others overlook. The 1% guard their minds with intention, feeding them images and ideas that align with the future they want to create. They know that thoughts are not just passing clouds, they are blueprints for action. What you repeatedly think about becomes what you work toward, consciously or unconsciously. Choices are the bricks you lay on that mental blueprint. Every decision, no matter how small, either moves you closer to your vision or farther away from it. The most successful people do not leave these choices to chance or mood. They measure them against the life they are building. They understand that success is rarely the result of one massive leap, but rather the accumulation of thousands of intentional steps. Over time, these steps form a path that others may call luck or talent, but in reality, it is deliberate design. Habits are the mortar that holds those bricks together. Anyone can make a good decision once, but it is the daily repetition of those decisions that transforms your life. Habits work quietly, shaping your identity and determining your results without constant effort. The 1% deliberately build habits that serve their vision, reading, planning, exercising discipline, because they know that the quality of their habits will eventually show in the quality of their life. It is easy to believe that your environment or past defines you, but this is only true if you allow it. People have risen from poverty, tragedy, and countless setbacks by refusing to let their circumstances write the story for them. They chose to see themselves as the architects of their destiny, not the victims of their surroundings. This shift in mindset changes everything, because once you believe you have the power to build, you stop waiting for someone else to hand you the tools. When you take ownership of your blueprint, you stop asking for permission to live the life you want. You start making decisions that align with your vision, even when they are uncomfortable or unpopular. You stop seeing yourself as a product of the system and start seeing yourself as the designer of your own reality. This is the lesson the 1% never want you to learn that the same power they use to create their world is available to you, if only you decide to claim it and start building brick by brick.